Hey, this is Dennis with Home Rehab Pros. Hope everyone's well with you today. We have an emergency job today. Somebody vandalized this house. The rest of the house is done, but they broke this window. To order this window, it would take 6 to 8 weeks. We're hoping we can find a window that fits the opening. Not exactly. We might have to adjust the opening, but we're hoping to find a window that will fit the opening and we can get this finished today. So let's watch. We're going to measure it. We're going to go look and see if we can find a window that fits. We're going to reframe the opening if we need to and then trim it out. Okay, so again, we're going to measure this window. We're going to go from the rough, we're going to measure the rough opening, right? So this is pretty easy because the window's gone and there is no trim. So I got 40 inches, and I'll measure that a couple places just to make sure. And then I'm going to measure the top all the way down inside. We got 45 and 7/8. Let's measure the other side. We got 45 and 5/8. So there's my measurement. I got my rough opening is 40 by 45 and 5/8. So now we're going to run and see if we can find a window that actually will fit this opening. So we're back. We found a window. We found a window that is 45 and 1/4 inches tall. So I'm hoping it'll slide in there, but it's only 36 inches wide. So that's 4 inches too small for the opening. So let's see if this fits. In its height, it's going to be a little close, but let's see if it fits, and then we'll discuss what we're going to do with these sides. Okay, so Jay, we want you to try to put that window in the opening. Let's see if it fits. The height-wise is what we're really concerned about because it might be a little bit tight. So as you see, he's gonna put that in and bottom in first, and then he's gonna slide it in the top. All right. Oh, so that's great. That's great. That works really, really well. Okay, so go ahead and take it back out of there. Now we have 2 inches. I think about 2 inches on each side. That's a gap that we have to close. Let's talk about how we're going to do that. So, what do you think, Jay? What do you think is an easy solution for that?
Since we're dealing with about 4 inches, a 2x4 on each side would close the gap enough to where we could put a nice piece of trim on it and leave enough room to pack it with some insulation.
Okay, so do you happen to have those 2x4s ready?
I do.
All right, let's get them in. Okay, so you cut them to length. And then you did have to rip them a little bit. We ripped them the width of the window, right?
Correct.
So we're going to be able to put the window right in there and then trim right over those 2x4s to finish this opening. Again, that's not ideal, but this is an emergency installation. So, yep. Okay, very good. Yep. So let's go ahead and get those fastened in, okay, and then we'll get the window in. Okay, so now we have our 2x4s. They're installed in the opening, and we are ready to install the window. Okay, Jay, so we're ready for you to install that window. I showed them the 2x4s you installed on the opening to narrow the opening up for this window. Let's go ahead and get it installed. Now that opening's still a little too big, but we're going to put insulation in that and then trim over that. And we're going to make sure that the distance is equal and that window is centered in there. So we're going to speed this up, and let's watch Jason do this as he installs the window, and then let's listen to a little music while we're watching. All right, so Jay, you're going to use a brad nailer to put this in there, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to use our PVC trim. This is just the best option that we have here, and it obviously frames the window out okay, as you can see. And he's just going to put a brad nailer. Okay. Very good. Now we just need to get our stops installed, then we can caulk everything and go to do the trim on the outside.
So here is a close-up of where our stops need to go. We see the PVC trim. Now the stops, we actually had to rip down a little bit. They were a little too wide after we put that PVC trim on there. But we had a saw, we cut them down a little bit. I think we had to take like 1/4 of an inch off. And now Jason's just going to put them on, and then we're going to move on to caulking all of this and finishing up the inside. And then we're going to kind of repeat the same process on the outside.
So we're caulking the window now. Jay, you put a little bit of caulk, and then you use that little tool, right?
Yeah,
you don't cut a big hole at the end of your tube, do you?
No, it's just yeah, very small hole.
Hang on, let me focus that. There we go. Yep. Is it at an angle or straight? It's a little bit of an angle, because you don't want too much caulk coming out,
Right.
do you?
Right.
And then you use that little tool. Here,
Yeah.
let's look at this tool. What do you use there?
Yeah.
It's got a rubber end to it, and it just runs across there and evens that out, right?
Yeah.
Very nice.
Makes a nice finish.
Yeah, so we're gonna caulk this window. The outside is already caulked, and we'll be done. So if your finger does a nice job on that, you don't need the tool.
Yeah. There's certain areas it's just as easy to use your finger, and it comes out real nice. So you just use your judgment. This is the old stop. We're just re-caulking that back.
Yeah, that's a little tough too. Is that a damp paper towel?
It's a damp paper towel.
Yeah.
And up here, we don't have this paint. So I'm being a little more generous with the caulk up here and just covering up the stop. Some of the paint came off. So we're just going to kind of blend it in with the caulk.
And there is a gap there too, so the caulk will help fill that a little bit too. So.
Yeah. And then I just gently wipe it down with the damp caulk.
Ah, the little nail holes.
Yes.
I'll take all the shadows away and makes it look a whole lot better. Just a little caulk. Then you'll smooth those out, right?
Yep.
Yeah, cool. So even though that wasn't an ideal situation, we kind of had to frame this opening and close it up a little bit. Still, it turned out nice. The windows installed, we got it done today. It's not what our preferred application is. We'd like to order the windows and get them specific for that window size, but this worked, and as you can see, it's all done. The trim is on, it's all caulked, it's ready to go, and the client will be very happy with it. So thanks for tuning in. This is Dennis Cole with Home Rehab Pros. If you have a project like this, just muster up the courage and do it yourself. You can do it, I know you can. And thanks for watching. And if you haven't subscribed, please do that. And please give us that thumbs up. And you know what? We'll see you in the next video.